Okay, I usually end up with about 38 to 40 popcorn balls when I'm done. This is my mom's recipe. Been making this since I was little also. Very good recipe. For your popcorn, you need white popcorn. Pick up your popcorn fresh. It's better to use when it's fresh, and do not refrigerate what you have left over. I use a Stir Master or a Stir Crazy popcorn popper, and that calls for just a little bit less than 1 cup of popcorn kernels, 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and that'll fill that right up. You also need some sandwich bags to put your popcorn balls in when you're done. Now you're going to clean your sink out. I use a double sink. So I clean my sink out really good, both sides, and then I use different stoppers. I picked these stoppers up at a grocery store, and then the flat ones, that'll help keep the syrup in here. So when you put these in, put your white ones on the top, try to get it to seal a little bit. Then when you put your popcorn in there and you put your stuff on top, you hopefully it won't fill up in the bottom of the sink. You can still mix it up really good. Okay, making our popcorn. We're going to take 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Our popcorn popper is already starting to heat up. We're going to use just a little bit less than a cup, I don't know, about a half a finger down of popcorn, or read your popcorn maker directions and it'll tell you how to do this. This is just the way I do it. I'm going to pour these in here. Cover it up. Let it start popping. Okay, once your popcorn popper stops popping for about 2 seconds in between kernels, you know it's done. You want to turn it off. You're going to turn this over, let it sit for a second. You're going to flip this real quick so you don't get burnt. Sometimes that happens. We're going to pour this right into our sink. Let these cool off and start getting our next batch going. Okay, once we get some of our popcorn in here, our first batch, we're going to sift this up. What we're doing is trying to get all the kernels out of it and get the kernels to the bottom. And then we're just going to transfer this over to the other sink. This is how we get our kernels out. And we're going to do this with 4 batches of popcorn. We're going to make 4 full batches, the same way we just made the first one. Now take your kernels that are left in here and just throw them in the trash. Okay, we have everything mixed in here. I did say 1/8 tablespoon of salt. We need 1.5 tablespoons of salt in here. We're going to mix this up. It's a little hard to mix right now. And just put it on a low heat. We're going to put this at about 4.5 on my stove. And we're going to leave it there. This has to be mixed constantly. Now once the butter is melted, then we're going to add our food coloring to make this whatever color we want. This time we're going to go with a blue. Okay, we've been cooking this for about 15 minutes. As you can see, it's almost to the top. You have to keep stirring constantly. Keep stirring no matter what. Now this is going to slowly start working its way back down. And once it gets about halfway down, it's going to be almost ready. We almost have our popcorn and stuff ready in our sinks. We're going to divide this up to both sides. Besides your stoppers, I've also picked up these little flat plastic rubber plates that I'll put over the stoppers, just so we don't get the juice down in there also. It just helps. We're going to use 2 wooden spoons to mix everything up. We also have 2 bowls ready, both with cold water in them, one for your hands and 1 measuring cup just with cold water in it. That's how we're going to test the syrup. Okay, our sauce is starting to cook down. If you pay attention to it, it's going to start turning into kind of a white foam. Now, we tried to do a thermostat on here, but my thermostats or thermometers, whatever they are reading me completely different temperatures, so we're just kind of forgetting that. So how we're going to test this is we have a cup of cold water. This is cooked down. You can see how it's starting to white foam a little bit on top. What we're going to do is we're going to take a spoonful of this, about half a spoonful, pour it straight in our water. Let that sit for a few seconds. Stick our hand in there. And if you pull it out and it's turning into a ball, like it is, see how it turned into a ball? That means it's done. Okay, once it makes a ball like that, it is done. So we're going to take this off of the stove, turn it off, take it off of the stove, and now we're going to pour this right onto our popcorn. This is very hot. According to our thermometers, anywhere from 220 degrees to 240. So we're going to pour just about half of this on one side, and then the other half on the other side. We're going to take 2 wooden spoons, large wooden spoons, and we're just going to slowly mix this. Try to get all the syrup up from the bottom. Okay, my bottom plate just came out. That's all right. This is very hot, so be careful. It takes a few minutes for it to cool down. Try to get all your syrup out of the bottom and get it on your popcorn. We're going to do the same thing with this side. Okay, we're going to mix this up until it's mixed up really good. Then we're going to start making balls, popcorn balls out of this. Okay, now that we have our popcorn mixed up in our sinks, we're ready to start making balls. Now this is hot still, but you kind of got to do it while it's pretty warm. We have a bowl of water here. What you want to do with this bowl of water is just barely touch the palm of your hand just to get it moist. You want your hands moist so that the popcorn does not stick to your hands. So we're going to make our popcorn balls about the size of baseballs. Don't pack them too tight. They don't need to be packed tight. If they fall apart, just let them dry a little bit and then they won't fall apart. If they're sticking to your hands, just wet your hands a little bit again. See, this one just fell right apart. So let me dip my hand a little bit, get it moist. And then everything just kind of holds together. We're going to end up anywhere from, with this batch that I make at this size, you always end up with about 38 to 40 popcorn balls. Stop. Okay, now that we have them all bagged, I usually end up with about 38 to 40 popcorn balls, about the size of baseballs. Now just fill your sink up with hot water and stick your stuff in it. Just let it sit for about 10 minutes and everything will dissolve. Very easy cleanup. Drain your sinks, wipe them out, soap them, water them again, just clean them out. But everything dissolves in hot water. And I hope you like this video. Hope you like the popcorns.